stuff. Some people might be like, well, why this, why that, and stuff. Why wasn't this explained? You don't need it. If a movie works, you don't need that exposition, I'd say.
The stars are insane out here.
I should have brought the telescope.
What do you need a telescope in the city for? Unless you're like a peeping Tom or something.
Drive-by movies, you're watching
Fresh releases.
My name's Blaze.
And I'm James.
This week we're talking The Rental.
The Rental is a new movie and directorial debut for Dave Franco. It stars his wife, Alison Brie, as well as Dan Stevens and Sheila Vand. It's about two couples. They rent a vacation home. They're expecting a great celebratory weekend getaway, but stuff goes down. Blaze, what'd you think of The Rental?
I have to say, I really enjoyed The Rental. I feel like this year has been a drought for many things, not just movies. This is going to be the write-off year in history, I feel like. It's like, yeah, that didn't happen. How was 2019? But anyways, this movie, I feel like it's very minimalist. I did enjoy that aspect, but I feel like it had such kind of cool concept, and there was little, page turners and little twists every now and then, enough to keep me really entertained. And I thought that the horror elements were there, and it did have some dramatic elements too that I did really enjoy. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm really glad that you enjoyed it, and it sounds like you enjoyed it as much as I did, because there's been movies that we've been reviewing. I might say that I enjoy them and stuff for the most part, but it's been really hard to find like the forefront winners of like favorites of the year. Like Tiger Tail has been the only one where it's like, oh, that's for sure one of my favorite movies, and now I'm going to add The Rental to that, and as well as The Invisible Man. But The Rental is everything I want, like for a horror film for the most part. There's not too many jump scares, but when they happened, they really worked. Like they paid off and they were set up properly. And I haven't seen the trailer for this movie just yet, but I'd say that probably the trailer probably shows the main scares of the movie, so try to avoid it. I just say to check it out. It's so good. The fact that this is Dave Franco's first movie, that's awesome. And I loved seeing his collaboration with one of my favorite filmmakers as well, Joe Swanberg. It's just cool to see so many actors work with Joe Swanberg and like work their way to being a filmmaker. I mean, maybe James Franco inspired Dave Franco, but I feel like it just seems like Joe Swanberg seems to be a guy that a lot of people enjoy collabing with, and it works out very well in the end, I'd say. Yeah,
most definitely. I felt like the film, and I think that's one of the things I really enjoyed the most was the script. Like both Dave Franco and Joe Swanberg collaborated on the script, and I thought that the script really kept you entertained. It does take a little bit for the horror elements to get there, but I didn't mind it because the twists and turns kind of with the plot were so like, I was just like, oh my god, like can't stop watching. It made it so involved and really, dug its claws into me before shit really does hit the fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just like the tension like was there like the whole time and stuff. This was a nail biter for me, and I was just like, oh my gosh, what is going to happen next? And when like things really start get going, like you might expect one thing, but it really doesn't go where you're expecting. And just like, it's really cool. And just like, I think what this does for like horror is like it's nothing like brand new essentially, but I haven't seen really anything involving Airbnbs just yet, and just like this is like a cool movie to start that Airbnb like kind of horror status like setting, I'd say.
There are two films that I really thought about when watching this film, and one of them is Creep. Like I felt like Creep really did revolutionize at the time, like even before anyone saw the movie, like kind of when it was doing its festival circuit, it was already like, oh, this film was done so cheaply. Like Blumhouse is in it for Creep 2, 3, 4, and 5 or something. We've only gotten Creep 2 so far, but I don't think that the filmmakers did want to keep making the movies, or maybe they did. I'm not sure, but I mean, I thought Creep 2 was really good as well, but I felt like this movie did really remind me of Creep, where I'm like, I could see this going in multiple different ways. This could, there could be sequels to this movie, and maybe they could.
For sure.
The only thing is, like, I would really hope that the sequels really stepped it up. The other film that this really reminded me of was It Follows, where I felt like the idea, like the synopsis for the film, was enough to be different than what's been currently out at the time, and was like really interesting, and like about technology, and like the way a lot of people are using technology, and like how a killer could technically use the same technology and kind of like game the system in a way. I thought that was entertaining. It reminded me of just how when I saw It Follows, that was a film where I'm like, oh, this is like nothing that's currently out at the time. During horror, it's a very original idea. I felt the same with this film. I felt like The Rental just had such a cool original idea. The film, though, doesn't really, carve any new paths. It's just that little inkling of an idea of like, oh, what if a killer was utilizing the same technology that people, were utilizing to just have a nice getaway and have a great vacation. And, they're not staying at the Marriott. They're staying at just some random guy's place.
Yeah. What I also liked also is the characters, like, while like maybe not the best decisions are made at times, like every like action had motivation behind it, essentially, and to where like it made sense for what they were going through in their mindset. Like if they made a dumb action, they had a very legitimate reason to make that action, essentially. So like, yeah, like I guess that goes back into the script. Just these characters are very well developed and stuff, and the stakes are set up very well to where like just like it works completely, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. I have to say, like, I think what really made the film the most enjoyable is there's these little moments where, like, they're trying to keep a secret and the ball of yarn just keeps, unraveling and untangling, and it just creates this huge mess that you, as the viewer, kind of don't really see coming. It just really catches you off guard. It takes a really interesting concept where, usually you'd see this type of slasher film just have a very generic, the killer is just chasing each person until he gets to that final girl. And really this one, it wasn't that mattered. They even like kind of skip a lot of that, it seemed like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of mystery behind it. Like, I honestly, like, we could talk about like all the spoiler segments but I just don't want to. I just really want to recommend this movie in general and stuff for everyone to check out. But there's a lot you can go with towards a sequel with this movie. It left a lot open-ended, and I like that and stuff. Some people might be like, well, why this, why that, and stuff. Why wasn't this explained? You don't need it. If a movie works, you don't need that exposition, I'd say. And this movie works. I can see why some people might be disappointed. They might want a little bit more things explained, but this movie works, and I hope that like a lot of people check it out and stuff. It's only available on video on demand right now, and also drive-in theaters. Like, I would love to see this at a drive-in currently.
What about at an Airbnb on VOD?
That's a great idea. Yeah, definitely. If you're watching this like right when this movie's out, definitely go to a hotel or Airbnb and rent it on Vudu or whatever your streaming service is. No, Amazon. That's our go-to. Yeah.
Yeah, the affiliate link, man. Don't forget that. Yeah, I'd have to say, I just really definitely agree with you. I think you should, recommend it, but I don't really want to get into spoilers too much. I want people to enjoy this film for themselves, because I definitely recommend people checking this movie. But something that I did want to ask you is, would you be interested in, I don't think this is spoilering, but would you be interested if there was a Rental 2?
Yeah, because there's so many different directions you can go in with the sequel. I mean, I kind of was reading up on it after, like, if I enjoy a movie, I'll read up on it after. So that's always great. And I saw that Dave Franco kind of just like while making this movie had the intention, like, yeah, like, if this movie is somewhat of a success, like, want to leave it open ended to where it can go towards a different direction. And yeah, it doesn't have to be a rental, essentially. You could change the entire title into like The Apartment or something, or There's a lot of different areas you can go in, but if there is a rental too, like I'm down for it. I'd just love to see, even if Dave Franco doesn't come back or Joe Swanberg doesn't come back, like I'm down for it as long as it's filmed this like same style and has like a similar style story, or just kind of builds up. I'm just up for it, whatever. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
All right. Well, yeah, I have to say I'd be in the same shoes. I'm interested in seeing a little bit more from this story, and I think the reason why is because you could just take it in so many different directions, like you said, and really take that concept and twist it in a different way. And that would make, I think, The Rental 2 a lot more, interesting than the first movie, which I really enjoyed the first movie, but, it's going to have a different,
I mean, I'd love to see a spin-off now that you mentioned Creep. Let's see, like, Creep enters The Rental or something.
It's like the Freddy versus Jason, Creep versus The Rental. I'm down for that. Like some weird horror, like alternate universe where like these realistic horror villains actually get together and face off. I think that would be highly entertaining, and that would be great for like a Creep 3.
Yeah, IFC and Netflix, please make it work. That I definitely would love to see that.
Yeah, I just have to say, I think I'm sounding like a broken record at this point, guys. Definitely check out The Rental. It's definitely worth the watch, and it is awesome that it's Dave Franco's directorial debut, because I think he really knocked it out of the park on this one. Anyways, guys, that is going to wrap it up for this week. If you haven't already, go in the description box below, click that Amazon affiliate link, and rent The Rental.
After doing that, come back here. Let us know what you thought about it in a comment. We'd love to hear from you. And also, please smash that like button and hit that subscription button and get that notification bell to get all our latest updates.
Tune in next week for our brand new, fresh releases.